You're sitting on the edge of the couch. The TV glows blue. Nobody is watching it. You ask how their day was. You get one flat word back. You look at their folded hands and feel it. The quiet between your knees and theirs feels like a canyon. Why does this keep happening? Is this just what love turns into? Am I asking for too much? Or am I just not enough? The relationship didn't get harder because your love faded. It got harder because your safety disappeared. You're not failing at this. This is not a sign you chose the wrong person. Every couple that has ever loved deeply has stood exactly where you are standing right now. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to break the anxious avoidant cycle without shrinking yourself to keep them close. And you'll leave with a grounded, psychologically precise way to protect your peace while staying open to real connection. Let's get into it. Most couples believe distance means someone stopped caring. They think love just slowly evaporated. But the real truth is completely different. When safety leaves a relationship, the love doesn't disappear. It goes underground. Your partner's nervous system is reading your energy before their mind can even catch up. When they sense pressure or emotional urgency, their biology treats it like a threat. They don't pull away to punish you. They pull away to regulate their overwhelmed system. And when you chase that withdrawal, your nervous system mirrors their panic. You try harder, they drift further. It looks like incompatibility on the surface. Beneath the surface, it's just two people screaming for safety in languages the other doesn't speak. You don't heal this by forcing a conversation. You heal it by changing the emotional temperature of the room. Once your brain stops treating their distance as personal rejection, your entire posture shifts. You stop managing the gap. You start tending to yourself. Honestly, that quiet shift is what actually pulls them back in. 1. The chase-breath rhythm. Most couples treat emotional distance like a fire that needs putting out immediately. When they withdraw, you instinctively lean in, sending longer texts and asking for reassurance, trying to close the gap before it widens. Your nervous system panics. It reads their quiet as pure abandonment. Their biology registers that flood as total engulfment. What looks like coldness is usually just someone trying to breathe. Not louder conversations. Not more compromising. Not scheduling a weekly check-in. Just learning to let the quiet exist without panic. Here's the disconnect. You text a heavy paragraph asking if you did something wrong, and their shoulders instantly drop under the weight of your anxiety. Now flip it. You notice the silence and give it space. You send one grounded message and go live your evening. Her brain is quietly registering she actually trusts him to come back on his own. That's when the walls between you start to come down without either of you having to say a word. 2. The translation of withdrawal. Most people in relationships interpret silence as a personal rejection or a hidden accusation. You stare at their screen time and assume the worst, replaying every tense conversation from this week. But beneath the surface, withdrawal is rarely about you. It's a protective shutdown triggered when someone's emotional bandwidth maxes out. Your nervous system learns fast. It starts decoding their shutdown as a physiological limit. Intimacy isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the 30-second ones, when you choose to read their body instead of fighting it. And this is the one most couples never figure out. When they shut down, you either criticize the silence or punish it with your own coldness. Both reactions confirm their deepest fear that closeness equals criticism. The connecting move looks radically different. You place your hand on their knee, keep your voice soft, and say, "You don't have to talk yet. I'm just sitting with you." Something in him is saying, "I don't have to perform to be loved right now." That's when your partner stops feeling like a problem to manage and starts feeling like a person to come home to. 3. The boundary of self. Most couples slowly erase their own edges, trying to keep the relationship perfectly smooth. You drop your hobbies, mute your needs, and walk on eggshells to avoid triggering their avoidant reflexes. But here's the real truth. You cannot heal a cycle by making yourself smaller. Your nervous system needs its own anchor, not just their temporary approval. And here's what changes everything. This isn't a communication hack. This is what it looks like when someone has learned to love without losing themselves in the process. Picture the old pattern. They cancel plans last minute, and you swallow your disappointment to seem low maintenance, while your resentment quietly pools in your chest. Now watch the shift. They cancel. You feel the sting. You honor it. You say, "I'm disappointed, but I respect your space." Then you call your friend and go to that concert anyway. What's moving through her is, they have their own life, and they still choose me anyway. That's the shift that turns a relationship that feels like a negotiation into one that feels like a refuge. 4. The micro-repair loop. Most people in relationships wait for a massive breakthrough or a weekend getaway to fix the drift. You think love will return once you finally have that perfect, uninterrupted heart-to-heart. But your nervous system doesn't heal in theory. It heals in micro-moments. Emotional distance isn't like a brick wall. It's like scar tissue that forms slowly over 100 small moments that never got repaired. And here's what nobody explains. When conflict hits, you either escalate to prove you're right or withdraw to prove you're hurt. Both fracture the safety bridge. The shift looks painfully simple. You catch yourself about to snap. You take one slow breath. You say, "I'm getting triggered. I need 5 minutes. Then I'm coming back." Your nervous system learns you won't abandon yourself in a fight. He watches you pause instead of flee. His shoulders finally drop. That's when turning toward each other becomes automatic instead of exhausting. 5. The identity anchor. Most couples outsource their emotional stability to their partner's mood and daily availability. You track their energy, mirror their tone, and let their presence dictate your entire day. But real healing starts when you stop asking them to regulate your nervous system. Your longing for closeness is beautiful. It just belongs inside you first. This isn't a trick for avoiding conflict. This is what it looks like when someone has learned to love from a place of wholeness rather than lack. Imagine the old rhythm. You wake up checking your phone, analyzing their last text, and letting their distance ruin your morning before it even starts. Now watch the new pattern. You wake up, you feel the quiet pull. You don't fight it. You make coffee, stretch, and write down 3 things that matter to you today. They feel the difference. The pressure lifts completely. The magnetic pull returns naturally. That's when your relationship stops being a lifeline and starts being a choice you make from strength. Man, you're not just learning new habits here. You are becoming the kind of partner who leads with safety instead of fear. This isn't a checklist. It's an invitation to show up differently, And that changes everything about what's possible between you and the person you chose. When you internalize this, you stop reacting and start responding. And your partner will feel the difference before you've even said a word. Real intimacy doesn't start when you find the right person. It starts when you decide to become the kind of presence you've been waiting for.